Lilith I trust. That's a girl. As above, so below.
Demons.
www.hoodmystic.com. Leave your ego at the door.
Peace, peace, peace. It's the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com, and today we are going to get into some truths about the dark goddess Lilith. Now, I know you can go all on the internet and find a whole bunch of stuff about the succubus, about the demoness, about the queen of the night, about the prostitute, and all of these weird things. But today we are going to personify Lilith in her rightful place as the goddess of wisdom. We are not going to minimize her like so many people have done throughout history. We are bringing forth the matriarch. We are bringing forth the foundation of civilization, which is personified through the energy of Lilith. And maybe you don't deal with Lilith. Maybe you don't fully understand Lilith, because every time you go online and reference this, it's in some negative connotation or negative perspective. So let's deal with the basics. So what is wisdom? Wisdom is defined by truthunity.net as intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition, the voice of God within as a source of our understanding, mental action based upon Christ consciousness within. Wisdom includes judgment, discrimination, intuition, and all of the departments of the mind that come under the head of knowing. Now, this knowing, quote unquote, capacity transcends intellectual knowledge. Spiritual discernment always places wisdom above the other faculties of the mind and reveals that knowledge and intelligence are auxiliary to understanding. So in referencing the last sentence, spiritual discernment always places wisdom above the other faculties of the mind and reveals that knowledge and intelligence are simply auxiliary to understanding, meaning that in order to really understand spirituality, one has to understand that wisdom is above knowledge and intelligence. Wisdom represents knowing. Knowledge is the acquisition of information. Intelligence is not the end all be all. You can read every book known to man, but if you don't have a knowing, then you won't necessarily know when to walk outside or what street to go on or things like that. It's very much of intuition, and the level of intuition falls under wisdom. So when it's in reference to what book should I read, what YouTube video should I watch, is very much relative to what you deeply feel. So this ties into Lilith because Lilith is personified as wisdom, personified as the matriarchy. Lilith was known as Adam's first wife. You can find Lilith in the Queen of Sheba. You can call her the Queen of the Night, or within the Jewish Kabbalistic system, she is known as Malkuth. And this is the long forgotten matriarchy. This goddess is usually shunned and removed from all spiritual hierarchy. When they reference the Trinity, they say God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is all reference to the Holy Spirit, which could be identified as Lilith. Even though you don't say Lilith, it is because she has been removed. If you look at ancient texts, the Zohar, Gnostic texts, they all reference Lilith. Lilith represents Malkuth then. Malkuth is everything that we see. So we have the tree of life, and you have the top of Kether, and then you have the bottom of Malkuth. What starts at the top, your pure consciousness and your understanding of channeling it, should be able to transfer down to Malkuth And this is how we realize Lilith in her pure goddess form. The issue with that is that you have to hit different spots on the tree of life. And every spot that you reach along the tree of life is a distortion of the goddess's energy. So by the time it reaches Malkuth, it could be identified as something evil. It could be identified as a quote unquote prostitute or quote unquote demon, because the pure consciousness is no longer there. So the trouble in explaining and breaking down what Lilith is due to the fact that she is a culmination of energy. She is a buildup of energy. We all have a Lilith representation, in which is called a worldview. How you view the world. How you view the world is your responsibility. There are plenty of people who view the world based upon truth. There are plenty of people who view the world based upon lies. And there are plenty of people who base the world based on half-truths and just find the comfortable niche or the comfortable place where they can sit and be, put up on a pedestal. So in understanding Lilith, one has to understand that everything you see, everything that you experience is not a one-off. In fact, it's actually a culmination of what you do with this root spiritual energy identified as Kether. There's a lot of spookism and a lot of negativity associated with dark goddesses. And that's why in this series, I'm not going to speak to that, because you could go anywhere online and find the negativity or, propaganda associated with the dark goddess. So one would understand and say, you believe in demons and things like that, but the Catholic Church or the Christian Church created the demons. Well, how did they create the demons? Well, these were the old ancestral matriarchal tribal gods that the people really wanted to use, and they understood and what really sustained them in the worship or the realization of the goddess. This is the ancient mindset. To distort that, to change it, you take it over, and then all of the good energy, you call it demons, you call it evil. Therefore, when it comes to real truth and real information, we'll talk so much, and then we'll get to a point of truth and we'll just stop. Because the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, they did a good job of demonizing potent energy. So the idea is to remove yourself from patriarchal truths, half-truths, and learn how to integrate the feminine forgotten truth. A way of me explaining this as an analogy is, if Kether is a pure cup of water, then Malkuth could be a pure cup of water, but it just has to be maintained through the tree of life. Whenever you experience things, whenever you go through particular trials and tribulations or particular events, the pure solution, in order for you not to be distorted and allow you to move forward, is ultimately the solution, because whatever you're experiencing is a result of your understanding of this energy. If you understand the purity and truth of wisdom, which rests within you, then you hold that idea firm throughout your path. And if there are certain points where you're tested on that, you test that purity, you test that goddess, you see if she's rocking with you or if she's not. Well, 11 times out of 10 times rather, the goddess will not forsake you. The problem is people don't necessarily deal with the goddess, therefore they are limited to patriarchal half-truths. They only want to deal with the things that's comfortable, the things that work, and if they worked previously, they should work again. But the reality of the Aquarian age is that the things that you've been doing that been working just not gonna work anymore. And the energies that you have not been paying attention to are now coming online. And if you're dealing with the spookism, then you're not dealing with the reality. And if you're not dealing with the reality, you're gonna put yourselves in situations that, well, you don't really necessarily have to be in, right? And even if you are subjugated to patriarchal energy, you could feel fine and everything could be good. But the Lilith energy or the Malkuth energy represents, how did I get here? And if we're able to start off with how did I get here, then we're able to figure out questions. The problem with Lilith is that everybody knows everything. And so since everybody knows everything, everybody deals with what they read, and everybody deals with the culmination that's been heavily distorted and heavily manipulated to come to such conclusions, then we aren't really dealing with it at all. And I think that it's been placed this way by design. I think that so many different things are programmed into our subconscious to want, to desire, to manifest, that when it comes to truth is not something that we ascribe for or really wish for. Wisdom is not something that we really wish to get, So if wisdom is not something that you wish to have, then Lilith might not be the energy for you, because truth, as it stands, might not have anything to do with your knowledge or intelligence. And if you build your life up on your knowledge and your intelligence, then it can help you, but it is not the thing that is going to save you. It is the hammer. You need hammers, you need tools if we're going to build a house, but we don't celebrate and throw parties for the hammers once the house is built. We don't do that. We use tools when necessary. So our minds and our knowledge and intelligence are good. They're wonderful tools. They're not things that we rest our spiritual beliefs on. We rest our spiritual beliefs on merging back with pure consciousness. We rest our spiritual belief on developing a relationship with the goddess, developing a relationship with our subconscious, developing a relationship with the spiritual aspects that exist within us, because within us is a level of wisdom that cannot be really spoke to or brought about through intelligence, through knowledge. Certain things you just know, certain things you just feel, and you might pick up on things way quicker than other people, and that's because you developed a relationship with yourself. We want to deal with the relationship with our objective point of view, because like Brother Panic has stated, our objection or our objective view is likened to a bird flying in the sky that's connected to us. Now, our two eyes can see directly in front of us, but the bird has a 360 panoramic view, can see further, can see many different directions, and from his alert and from his spiritual cognition, he's able to tell us things that we don't see with our two eyes. So developing a relationship with this ego, because if you look at Lilith in Sumerian texts, she is seen to have wings. So these wings speak to an objective point of view. And so when we connect to Lilith, we get that objective point of view. Now that objective point of view might be completely different from what you see with your two eyes. The idea now here is to trust. So to surmise, Lilith represents Malkuth. Kether represents source consciousness, or the actual causal energy that represents your current reality. So the past and the future culminating into this moment now. There is no real thought process behind spiritual development. You just have a natural knack for the truth. What do I mean that there's no thought process behind spiritual development? Well, an example of this would be in a baby's womb. When a baby is in a mother's womb, the baby isn't thinking, man, I should get out of here. I want to go to Earth. No, the baby is comfortable, and the baby would sit there and grow exponentially. But something happens within the woman's body. Her body begins to contract and expand and contract and expand and force the baby out. We look at childbirth as a wonderful, beautiful experience, but really it's a woman's body saying, get the hell away from me. So in understanding escaping from matrices and what looks like to be an end is usually a beginning. So the goal of the initiate is to really experience the soul, experience pure consciousness, because that is where our bliss, that is where our joy is at. And this is found within us. So finding bliss and joy within is beautiful and wonderful, and rarely done. People don't deal with it. People deal with the external world, and the external world is their source of bliss and joy. And if that is the case, you will then look at Malkuth as a prostitute, Lilith as a prostitute, or something being evil, because you have really stepped away from it. And by the time it gets down to Malkuth, it's completely distorted and disorientated and unaware of the current reality. So understanding that we are working the steps, we are working through this and dealing with our source consciousness, having a relationship with our primary consciousness as we move through life, it prevents solutions for us as opposed to more problems. Lilith represents the physical manifestation of source consciousness. And the practitioners or the followers of Lilith are known throughout history as a very taboo word. And that word is witch. Witch, Lilith are generally synonymous. So when you have things like the Salem witch trials and things of that nature, witch hunts and things of that nature, they are literally suppressing the Lilith gene within us. You could actually Google the XX gene, and that would be reference to the Lilith gene. But although Lilith gets a bad rap, we have to really understand what it means to be a witch, right? Because if we don't understand what a witch is, then we don't understand what Lilith energy represents, and we're dealing more with the spookism, more with the patriarchal energy of tearing down, right? Burning at the stake, this energy. So let's talk about what a witch is. Witches are bad. End of story. No, for real. We live in a world that's full of mystery, wonder, all types of magic, all types of things that we just do not know. And in seeking or understanding this world that we live in, the world filled of mystery, a world filled of wonder, a world filled of magic, these are not closed doors or unavailable things that lock us out. No. On the contrary, the doors are open and available for any individual to simply walk through. What would prevent you from spiritual development, spiritual truth, is the fact that half or more than half of the potent energy has been demonized, ostracized. You won't deal with it because you're afraid of what might happen to you. In reference to a witch, they are seen, or we are seen as threats. We are seen as being evil. But the reality is that we are just simply understanding our worlds around us. We're not looking at the world as something to know. It's something that we have gathered in the palm of our hands. No, we are seeking every day, every moment to learn more. And in learning and understanding the world around you, in a world where nobody else is doing that, you're going to be looked at as being evil. Period. There's no way around it. Because people will not do the work. People will not do the investigation. And if you choose to do the investigation, then you have to deal with some backlash from people who choose not to. Because if I have to figure out something real simple, I need to figure out how to make $5. But my friend, he needs to figure out how to make $5 too. But he doesn't do anything but play PS4 and eat sandwiches all day while I'm online trying to figure out how to find $5. Lo and behold, I find $5 and I'm able to pay my ticket, and he doesn't have it. And so the fact that I'm doing it and I'm able to pay it, he's gonna look at me like I'm evil just because he didn't do anything. That's it. So in this world where we develop our powers and develop our spirituality, and you live in a world where people aren't doing it, I don't care if they're conscious, right? Consciousness isn't the end all be all, because people will say, oh, I read about Lilith. Oh, I know about this. Oh, I know about that. All right, what we gonna do about it? I'm about to go to work on Friday. Or I'm about to go to work on Monday. Oh, okay. So The fact of knowing about information, the fact about regurgitating information doesn't necessarily make you a witch, doesn't necessarily make you spiritual. It is figuring out the world around you. And through investigation of the world around you, asking the question, the answer is Lilith, period. So the 5-star pentagram and the energy or the deity that sits on top of quote unquote witchcraft, one could reference it as Hecate, the triple goddess. All of these things speak to one primary deity, one primary principle, Adam's first wife, and that is Lilith. We have to understand that we live in a world that has been dominated by patriarchal religious doctrines and religious dogmas. And if we were to ever get into a level of truth, we would have to really go deep within ourselves and question everything, because everything that's been taught to us hasn't been right and exact. So the level of Lilith then becomes a different kind of conversation, and it becomes a different way of communicating and understanding spirituality. What I'm saying is that the reality of Lilith is that she is the queen of all power and of all mystery, and this equates to wisdom. My conclusion is that we have been tricked by religious leaders of old and new, past and present, to hide this simple truth. Lilith represents the divine feminine, the great goddess, the goddess of fertility and chaos. She represents to me how the gods of old were demonized, ostracized, and eventually kicked out of the pantheon in our minds. But in the structure of reality, in the structure of the universe, that power has not gone anywhere. Wisdom is an exalted thing and a rich thing, and I will love her like a mother, and she shall embrace me like her child. I will follow the footprints of wisdom, and she shall protect me forever. I will seek after wisdom, and she shall be with me forever. I will follow her footprints, and she shall not cast me away. I will lean upon her, and she shall be unto me a wall of adamant. I will seek asylum with her, and she shall be unto me power and strength. I will rejoice in her, and she shall be unto me abundant grace. For it is right for us to allow the footprints of wisdom, and for the soles of our feet to stand upon the threshold of the gates of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a short presentation on the energy of Lilith. I hope this information has been informative. Please comment if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'm the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. There you can reach me for readings, my new workbook, and all assortment of other types of things. So be sure to check out that website. Any direct questions, you want to reach out, you want to contact me, hoodmystic@gmail.com. Peace, and more peace.